Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed. Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow. A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay, and characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread. No, I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch. This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else. Imagine a game with a story that no one watches. A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig. At least, I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop-ba, deep-a-doop-da, scoop-a-boop-ba, beep-beep-beep-beep-beep, phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped? That was really cool. A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared on in a trance. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. The Costco guys made more money than you. They were just on Jimmy Fallon too. Imagine Lennox being on Jimmy Fallon, because I literally can't. The rat on my desk is eating all my Cheerios and grapes, and also Concord is dead. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe as a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Rat-a-ta-ta-beep-a-da, boop. Skim, milk, the rat fleet, doo-da, doo-da. A guy said he really liked it, and then a bunch of rats ate his face. That's the sound he made when Concord passed away. I wish things turned out different, but either way I'm getting paid. Concord's dead, Concord's dead, and boy is my face red. When the game came out, everybody overslept. Concord's dead, Concord's dead. Holy crap, Lois, Concord's dead. When the game out, people played everything else instead.
Studios with talent, craft, and dreams, and making plans. But decisions came like twisters, scattered hopes across the floor. Now players shake their heads, wondering what they're gaming for. Oh, Warner Brothers, what you doing to your name? Patent nemesis, it's greed behind your fame. Canceled Wonder Woman, left us waiting in the dust. Suicide Squad sinking fast, lost the gaming world's trust. That nemesis system had folks cheering far and wide, but you locked it down and creativity just died. Instead of leading progress, you're blocking up the lane, holding back the industry, causing nothing but disdain. Oh, Warner Brothers, can't you see the gaming light? Misreading your audience, getting nothing right, letting great teams crumble, opportunities ignored. Gamers asking why they're even bothered anymore. Wonder Woman could have soared, made history anew, but you tossed her out like yesterday's news. Suicide Squad came in hot, crashed and burned right through. Misunderstood your market, now the joke's on you. Oh, Warner Brothers, lost in stubborn pride. Gaming world's changing, but you're stuck inside. Missed every chance you had, ignored the warning signs. Better wake up soon before you fall too far behind. Message Warner from gamers coast to coast. Respect your teams and visions or you'll end up as a ghost. Stop wasting all potential, learn to play the game, or Warner Brothers games will just remain a crying shame.
Welcome, Lenny. Welcome back to the stream, Lenny. It's good to have you. We got things to talk about. You know we do. And I'm glad you're here with me. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's going to be a good day. Going to be a good day. We've got a handful of little bitty topics we're going to go through, bite-sized, dare I say. And then we're going to have Jor on later for the podcast. That's going to be a good time. And yeah, it's going to be good. I'm going to share with you a couple more little tidbits of things that popped up. Just some important messages from some very, very important people you may not have known about. Such as this one. This guy, I mentioned him before. I showed him before. He really went all out and left us a 10-minute message. This is just a snippet.
Hi, I am Jesus Christ. We are waiting for the police to show up because I walked by the beach and told everyone that they're murdering Noah's Ark and they're murdering my nativity. I am Jesus Christ. You're murdering my family. I am the sun in the sky, Ra, and I have returned. The day for God is like 1,000 years. It's been 2,000, and now I'm over 2 years old. As Jesus, you said, kill any child under 2 in Egypt and in Harad, and in Jerusalem, New Salem's lot.
This goes on for 10 minutes.
Kill us. There's mosquitoes. Left to right. Behold, this is over for you all. You don't fucking... And then some. So, you can't be trusted, girls. You backstabbing, filthy fucking...
Jesus. So, yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot there. Yeah, we checked in on him like a week or two ago, and he was just talking about how he was the reincarnation of Jesus Christ and Ra. But now he's talking about summoning the end of the world. So I wish him the absolute best, of course. We also have a fantastic dance number to enjoy.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you show me the direction to your height? Make sweet love till the break of dawn.
We're gonna get copyright struck, but he goes on an extended dance sequence. This is one thing I do genuinely enjoy about TikTok is that it will share with me some of these incredible videos. I normally would never have seen this, but now I get to enjoy it and I get to share it with you. And there's a lot. There's a lot of these. This one unironically is really good. Have you guys ever heard Lil Wayne do an interview? Have you ever heard Lil Wayne do an interview? Lil Wayne, Lil Weezy, Lil Wayne, I don't even know. It just interview, I guess. Lil Wayne. This is how he talks.
12 years old. I shot myself. I was in the house. Police knocked on the door. I was right there.
It's an honestly very tragic tale, but also inspiring, the tale he's telling. But that's what his voice sounds like. And then this guy did an impression of Lil Wayne's voice turning into a leaf blower. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, honestly. Like, it's pretty spot on. Oh yeah, Lil Weezy. Lil Weezy. Yeah. Yeah, that's him. That's the guy. That's the guy. You know, it's just, I think it's important to keep in tune with internet culture, with everything that's going on, because there's always a little, you know, there's things to be learned. And TikTok has a lot to teach us. We do have a further update on the IGN Mafia crap that went down because honestly, I mean, I don't think anybody's that surprised, but we got some side-by-side comparisons and stuff showcasing it, you know, and it's just reminiscent of this other one with a very, like, as you can see here, we reacted to this previously. They have a track record of some hilarious and horrible previews that are honestly just shocking. Like it's genuinely amazing that they have no quality control. And I've heard from people that are familiar with IGN's process, because I've been like, how do you have 19 million subs and you're putting out such consistent crap? And apparently this is like a pretty entrenched problem for them. It's like a cultural thing where they just feel like they don't need to try. They also tend to hire people with like journalism degrees instead of people with like technical experience, either in video creation or even just video game interest, period. And so they get themselves into trouble because they have people that literally don't know what they're doing making these videos. And of course it doesn't go too well. So we'll touch on that because I mean, the fallout continues. And this, again, it's just so frustrating because these companies, I want to be very clear. I don't know about Mafia specifically, but a lot of these companies spend millions of dollars to get IGN to publish and distribute their things. It's like a big, you know, cover story type deal. And then they get this. And even if they don't pay them directly, they're getting access to the exclusive content. Like they're getting access to something that's very, very valuable. And then they absolutely butcher it. They come out with something that's crazy over processed, over compressed. It makes the game look like a PS3 game, or at the very least look way worse than it actually is. And I mean, at some point, companies have to be like, okay, let's stop. Let's stop. Because it happens regularly. Feels like every month or two there is a new game that they are promoting that they make look terrible because they don't know what they're doing. You know, it's really, really bizarre. But unfortunately, it's just normal. It's just normal now. Where did this one go? But yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail because there's a good amount of crap there. Yeah, there's information about Halo Studios, kind of what's going on behind the scenes, because they also experienced layoffs, and apparently company morale is not too great. People are not too, how do we say it? They're not too confident about the project as it is. Hold on, I need to like shrink this like that. There we go. And that work better? I think that works better. So we'll touch on that because there's interesting tidbits there. It's also claimed that there are multiple Fallout projects in development. We'll touch on this as well because they're suggesting that one of these could even be, quote unquote, the project that everybody wants, which has got to be Fallout New Vegas, right? Like it's got to be at this point, but we'll see. we'll see. Yeah, recently during Skill Up's Friends Per Second podcast, it was claimed that multiple Fallout games are in development. So we'll touch on this. We'll touch on this. VGC's Jordan Midler. So this is not just like a nobody claiming this. This is somebody that like actually has a reputation to uphold, and also allegedly, knows some contacts, knows some people. Okay. I think we can touch on this one. There it is. I found the timestamps. I think this will work. This is how I feel whenever people talk about Fallout. I'm like, really? Are we doing it? Or are we just like getting our hopes up? Really? But we'll see. We'll talk about that because that's potentially an interesting little something that we can get into. Also, this happened out of nowhere. Have any of you guys been playing the brand new mode for The Last of Us Part 2? If you didn't hear, Naughty Dog released out of nowhere a patch for The Last of Us Part 2, which is called chronological mode, that basically takes the entire game and then breaks it up in chronological order, starting with the flashbacks and everything. And you go through the entire game from start to finish, but without like the weird pacing. They just let you go from the start and work your way through. Who knew? Who had any idea? Apparently this started, let's see where I just had it bookmarked. Yeah, Kurt Marginou, who's game director at Naughty Dog, he said, it's always been a curiosity with how complex the weaving timelines is in The Last of Us Part 2. What if there was an option similar to that one on the DVD menu option in Christopher Nolan's Memento to play the events in strictly chronological order? And that's what they did. So they put the entire game in chronological order, and you can go through it that way. Now, to be clear, this is cool. I don't think you could play the game at launch like this and have it work, because the game would basically start with flashbacks of Abby, and like the hospital sequence. I don't think it would work in the format of like a game or a TV show if you didn't know what was going on. Now, it could be an interesting and kind of fresh way to play through the game with everything just happening back to back to back to back to back. And it could break up Abby's gameplay with Ellie's gameplay much faster. But as part of this, they've had to say, be prepared, because there will be sections you play a game or you play the game where you will have tools or weapons and things that you don't actually have access to in the next scene. Because, the next scene might have taken place 3/4 of the way through the original game, but because it was earlier in the timeline, it now takes place immediately. So it's clunky, but it's still kind of a fun little idea. It does reiterate and kind of reinforce the idea that Naughty Dog, like they just have a team that's always messing around with The Last of Us Part 2. Whether it's remasters, remakes, what have you, they're always doing something with it. I believe it was mentioned offhandedly in an interview that they basically assigned some new hires to work on like the remaster and remakes, to train them in their tools and get them acclimated in the studio and their workforce and the process before moving them on to the big project, Intergalactic and stuff. Which is a good way to do it. You remember Bethesda Game Studios, they said that the Skyrim Anniversary Edition actually started because they were training themselves on how to work with now last gen, but at the time it was next gen consoles, the PS4 and Xbox One. They were training themselves how to use those new consoles and dev kits, and so they worked on upgrading Skyrim for the next gen of consoles so that they learned all these tricks and developed all this stuff for use in Fallout 4. And it's a similar thing here where I think they just, they're working on this stuff kind of as like a training exercise. And then some of it they figure they can sell in the case of a remake or remaster. And then other stuff they figure, we can just do a free update, put it out there for fun. And this is, as far as I understand it, a free update, as you can see here, available now via patch. Voila. So cool little thing. Did not have that on my bucket list. Honestly, no idea. But it is kind of funny that once again there's another update for The Last of Us, but at least this one's free. Got to give them that. It's free. So that's nice because nowadays free doesn't always come about, you know? It's not always. What else? Do I have anything else bookmarked? Let me check.
Mr. Piffle donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you, my friend.
Hey Luke, not sure if you've gone over this or not, but what happened to the new Perfect Dark game? I was really excited for it. Loved the original. I heard that it got canceled. What happened?
There were some back and forth things. Some people were claiming that sources said the trailer they dropped was basically faked. Then later, I believe it was like the game director or one of the directors on the project came out and said, no, it was real. Either way, I don't think it looked that good for being so far in development, so many years in, you know? It just didn't really, I don't know. It just didn't look ready. It didn't look ready. Here, I can share. This is the trailer we're talking about from last year. And I understand like there's some interesting ideas and concepts here, but this does not look like a cutting edge next gen or current gen game even. This looks like a PS4, Xbox One game, which is just tough. You know, graphics aren't everything, but it's also just in terms of general movement and level design and everything. It's very compact. It's very suffocating. And so I think, you know, if Xbox is trying to figure out what games can we sell Game Pass subscriptions with, what games can really showcase our platform the best, I'm not sure if this is it. Like, this could have been really big maybe 10 years ago, but it just doesn't look like it's one of those showcase games. And the thing that you're going to see over the next decade is that Xbox is just going to continue to focus on the games that are kind of the big budget stuff that is very marketable. And I don't know if this was as marketable as they needed it to be. You know, not to mention there were rumors and discussions of development hell. There were rumors that they just kept working on vertical slices and things that looked good in boardrooms, but it didn't necessarily come together into a like cohesive vision for a video game that was going to be what they needed it to be. So, you know, I just think there's multifaceted elements going on here. My general approach is to just remind people they don't tend to cancel games that they thought they could make a lot of money on. You know, if they thought they could make a bunch of money on this because it's so good, they would put it out. So if they looked at this and they said, I don't think we're making the money back, it probably wasn't like that amazing. Now, sometimes you can get pretty good games that get canceled because they're just not like the economics haven't worked out. You know, they spend too much on it. They spend too much time on it. Like BioShock Infinite, great game, but they basically made 2 or 3 video games in the course of that game's development cycle because they kept kind of restarting and redoing so much because Ken Levine's a perfectionist. And so that drove the development costs up a ton. So it's a great game, but a great game that cost, not saying BioShock cost as much, but a great game that cost $100 million. If it only makes 85, it still doesn't make sense to put it out. And that's the unfortunate reality of the industry. It's just like, it's not just about quality. It's also about the product as something to be sold. And so for something like Perfect Dark, they might've just looked at it and been like, I don't know if we can actually like sell this and make something off of it, you know? Which we just don't know. We don't know what we don't know, right? So it could have been the game was actually amazing and they canceled it because they don't know what they're doing. Or it could have been that they were like, you have some vertical slices, but there isn't really a video game here, and internal reviews of the game are not going too well. Like, yeah, we just don't know what we don't know. But I don't know. Based on this, I don't think it looks good enough to get like as much dev time and money as they were getting. Like Microsoft would much rather pour that money into another Oblivion remake style project that's way cheaper, way easier to put together, and that makes way more money than this, you know? So this looks very interesting to me. I'm glad. I'm just saying for the mass market, I don't think Xbox thought it looked very interesting or as like interesting enough, because the age of like AA kind of lower end AAA games that are not like the big blockbuster, I think those days are just over. You can't justify spending AAA money on something that's not going to blow up and be like number 1 or 2 in the charts. Like you have to have it be a top performer. And I think they just were not sure if this was going to be that. Which, you know, fair. There's a lot of other things in their pipeline that I don't know if they're going to be anywhere close to chart toppers, but there were all, I mean, usually where there's smoke, there's fire. And in this case, there were a lot of rumors and there was a lot of discourse about potential like problems within the studio in terms of actual like development and execution of some of these things. So who knows? Who knows the real story? We probably find out the real story in like a month when Jason Schreier does an article, but yeah. Saber and Active are good AA devs. Yeah, they've found a solid niche with it. And, you know, Space Marine 2, they have some strong IP that they're working with. That certainly helps. But, you know, it used to be like Embracer Group. They were able to do these AAA projects across their wide portfolio of all these different IP that they have. And, you know, they might not be like the biggest games of the year, but they could at least break even and make a profit. Nowadays, that just doesn't happen. Like the age, now we're at the age where it's like, it's not even AAA. It really does feel like AAA has been dying out. And now it's getting to the quadruple A or AA. Like there's not a whole lot of these like, you know, Forspoken sized games where they've got a big budget, but they're kind of unknown and they're weird and kind of strange. That money is all in live service stuff, you know? I still think Ninja Theory are cooked. One of the things that's been said is that Ninja Theory may be kept around primarily for their motion capture studio, which apparently is cutting edge and state of the art. And so Xbox may be in a position where they're like, hey, yeah, no, you guys, like, your games aren't doing super hot. They now are on 2 pretty disappointing back-to-back projects with Bleeding Edge and then, of course, Hellblade. But, I mean, as the motion capture studio, it may be cheaper to just keep them open and just film motion capture stuff for other games in the portfolio there, you know? Why not? Thank you for the 21 months, MMO. Why spend $200 million to make no money when you can spend far less to make millions with cute horse girl racing? Fantastic point. Well, and I think it's just the industry is still changing and shifting. So we are far, far from the end of layoffs and downsizing and restructurings. It's only going to keep happening. But I think you're going to see a lot of like outside investment money. It's just going to pour into Eastern markets like South Korea, China, Japan, and those devs. And I think a lot of money is going to dry up from these like European and American dev companies that take 8 years to put something out that probably still flops. You know, that's just how it's going to have to be. We also, just to let you know, we did get word that the state of play for Ghost of Yotei is going to happen Thursday, July 10th. It's going to happen at 2 p.m. Pacific. And as you can see, nearly 20 minutes of gameplay, commentary from creative directors Jason Connell and Nate Fox. What will be shown are story details, new weapons, new ways to personalize your journey. I'm guessing these are cosmetics as part of a pre-order bonus. That's my guess. And then special modes. They might bring like the multiplayer Legends mode at launch. Who knows? That's almost today. It sure is almost today. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting. We'll see what they do. I think that this is one of those games. I'm surprised. Like people are talking about it, but it doesn't feel like the hype is overwhelming like a lot of PlayStation games kind of achieve. But this is probably where they kickstart it. So we'll see how this turns out. I think it's going to be an awesome game. I mean, I really like Ghost of Tsushima 1. But I'm mainly interested in seeing like how they have adapted and adjusted from the first game, specifically with open world design and like the open world activities, because the open world activities in the first game were super repetitive, and it was one thing that they were critiqued on and criticized for a lot at launch, which people have kind of forgotten, was people called it Far Cry mixed with Assassin's Creed, but executed well. And it was because like there were just all of these little bases you go through, you clear them, move to the next one, go through, clear it, and it's just very repetitive. And I'm wondering if they've tweaked that and changed it. They've said they've added a bunch more exciting open world things, but we haven't seen much. Like we've heard them talk about it, but I mean, we're going to have to see for ourselves. For ourselves. Hold on, I got to adjust this again. Oh no, you can see my spotlight that's normally cropped out of frame. How embarrassing. How embarrassing. There we go. I think that works. Okay. If it's just going to be another revenge story, I don't know if I'm interested. I mean, I love the gameplay, like specifically the combat. I love the stance changes in Ghost of Tsushima. I really, really like that. But part of what made Ghost of Tsushima so special was that there really was not a game quite like it. And so it's going to be interesting to see how they turn the dials to make this feel truly new and unique. You know, because the first game's still great, but I haven't seen the stuff they're bringing, like, oh, it's a new, like they've got the gun now, and oh, they've got this, they got the wolf companion thing. But if it's just Ghost of Tsushima with like a wolf animal companion or something mechanic where you can send him out to like fetch ammo for you or attack a guard or something, I don't know if that like is super exciting to me, but we'll see. We'll see tomorrow. We'll get the full breakdown. Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. Gameplay's immaculate. Oh, usually. It's just, it's going to be interesting to see if they've even bothered to try and change up the repetitive nature of the gameplay, because that was something that was critiqued a lot, but people have kind of forgotten about it. Because I think a lot of people played it after the fact, you know, in the years that followed, but we'll see. What is this? Obsidian just out of nowhere tweeted, "Hi." Hi. Okay. Huh. Train the dog to complete the game for you. Dude, my sweet, lovable, adorable little hound dog. Do I have a picture of him? He is such a sweet little guy, but this dog, man, this dog, he would not chill. Here's an old photo, but this is like from a month ago maybe. He just has no chill. So right now, look at that guy. He's a good boy. Right now they're tearing down my deck because it was falling apart. We bought the house. It's always been really flimsy. So I have this company come in, tear it down, and they're going to rebuild it. So naturally, I can't have the dog in the backyard while they're tearing down the deck because he's going to escape out the front gate. And if you don't know anything about his breed, it's called a blue tick coon hound. They are bred specifically for hunting like raccoons and rabbits and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, they score. Yeah.
Top Snack has just tipped $20 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
How much of Xbox's current situation can actually be blamed on Phil and other Xbox leadership? I could be wrong, but I feel like after Microsoft made all those big purchases for games, Microsoft higher-ups just took control.
Yeah, so Top Snack, and then I'll continue telling you about my dog and his problems. But thank you for the 20. That's incredibly generous. How much of their current situation can be blamed on Phil and Xbox leadership? I could be wrong, but I feel like Microsoft made all those big purchases for games. Microsoft higher-ups just took control. Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought this up because this is something that's commonly misunderstood. And it's misunderstood, and, you know, the most clear and readily apparent, I guess, demonstration of how it's misunderstood is some of these guys will be like, can you believe it? Xbox just laid off 9,000 people. It's like that. No, that is not what they did. That's not what anybody said they did. Microsoft laid off 9,000 people. Xbox did not lay off 9,000. Some of those 9,000 were at Xbox, yes, but not close to the overwhelming majority or anything, like a sliver. But some people, just misunderstood it, and they kind of conflate the two things. That being said, I think what happens is people assume that it's Xbox making the decisions that affect Xbox, but that's not necessarily true. Unfortunately for everybody else, it would be nice if it were 1-to-1, but it's not. As for what most likely is happening, it seems like Satya Nadella decided that they're going to spend $80 billion a year on AI investments. And in order to achieve that investment target, they have to do restructurings and layoffs. And part of this also is that the whole premise of Microsoft right now is that Copilot is the future. AI is the future. It's why they're spending $80 billion a year on it. And so whenever Satya goes up to investors, he has to be able to describe how that's actually happening, how AI is helping their business. And if he can say we're seeing increased efficiencies, our headcounts are dropping, we're able to do more with less, all of this stuff, that helps fulfill that vision to investors. So a lot of jobs are sacrificed at that altar. And it's not just at Xbox, it's also at a lot of other companies. But almost certainly what happened is that Satya decided they're going to slash 4% of the workforce. And then his CFO, they go and they they break it up. We have this much room in the, hardware department, this much room in HR, this much room in this service and the infrastructure service. And they go to each of the directors of those departments that employ thousands upon thousands of people, and they say, you need to cut 3%, you need to cut 5%, you need to cut 11% because we're not using you that much anymore. And so then the managers of those departments, in this case like Xbox and then the cloud team and then all the other groups, they have to find those roles to cut. And if they don't, they get fired and somebody else will come in and do it. So Phil is told, you need to fire whatever the actual number ended up being. I don't think we know yet, but he gets told you need to fire 500 people. And then he has to find 500 people to fire, and this is something that is not, a surprise. I'm sure they knew this 6 months ago that they were going to do these layoffs. It's well known at Microsoft, at least, they do layoffs regularly every year right at the end of June, because that's when their fiscal year ends. Every single year. Every year. And it's kind of sad that it's so regular, but that's just how they do it, is that they will go and they will lay people off if they meet that threshold. So let's see, how do I delete this one there? So I think these layoffs in particular are coming from on high. I don't think anybody that actually knows what they're talking about with regards to Microsoft even disputes that. It's not like Phil went to Satya and was like, hey, can you please let me fire all these people? He didn't say that. He's getting directed, just like the rest of the company, to find the fat. And even if some of the meat gets cut off in the trimming, so long as your total shavings equal the weight we need it to equal, you're good. And that's what he's doing. It doesn't mean he's any less, any less of a corporate shark. He is. The thing is, Phil is more relatable than Jim Ryan. I always joke that Jim Ryan looked like an alien wearing a human mask, because he did. And I don't think he was a gamer. I don't think he really cared. He was just a pure corporate shark through and through. But Phil, I think, is a gamer. You can see his games played, his hours played. You can see that. But do not get it twisted. Phil is a corporate shark. You do not work at Microsoft for decades. Decades. Climbing the ranks. Eventually ending up in a senior executive position without stabbing a good amount of people in the back. That's just how it works. It's how it works. My dad would always joke, because he worked with some of these guys, like the VP of, I forget which job he interviewed for. He was interviewing for one of the VP roles at Microsoft back in 2008 when we lived in Minnesota. There's an office there, and I remember the whole family was talking about how great it would be if my dad got that job. Turned out it was good he did not get it, because that guy that got hired ended up getting laid off immediately because of the financial crisis that hit in 2008. But yeah, I remember us, like the whole family, talking about it when I was younger, little kid. And but my dad would always say that in order to climb the ranks at those companies, you have to be kind of heartless. Like, you just do. That's how you do it. Because again, if you care too much, you won't be able to fire hundreds and hundreds of people regularly. Like I said, this is like an annual thing that they have to find thousands of people to fire. Like, that's just how it is. Be a sociopath. There's actual studies. What is the name? If you guys know in chat, there's a really good book. I read it in college. Oh, it's going to drive me crazy. I don't think I have it in here. There's a really good book that talks about the correlation between like psychopathic and sociopathic tendencies and success in corporations. And it specifically like goes through the research and says, roughly it might be like 3%, 1% to 3% of the population is a psychopath, has no remorse, has no empathy at all. And they live among you. You may not ever realize, they probably don't even realize they're psychopaths, but they're out there. It's a very common thing. But they overwhelmingly end up in positions of power and control and management, because that's where they can get narcissistic supply. That's where they can exert control over other people. And because they have no like emotion, because they don't feel empathy, it makes it way easier for them to be that stereotypical corporate shark that's willing to just do whatever you need to do to make the company run better, which is why they perform better as a manager in those environments. I personally believe that, harboring and caring for talent is way more valuable than being like an iron-fisted ruler, but that's just me. But that's going to kill me. I can't remember the name of the book. But yeah, this is like a well-known thing, though. Oh, the Bible? Yeah. It's like, it's a very common thing, or at least more common than you would realize, that a lot of these people that are in positions of leadership at these companies, I'm not saying Phil is, but a lot of people that climb the ranks at these companies, they literally are sociopaths. And that has helped them climb that ladder, like you hear some of the stories of stuff that went on at like Enron. And it's really hard to come away thinking that those people are like well-adjusted, caring people, because I don't think they are. Caleb, thank you for the 10. Your dog being a coonhound just gave me elementary school PTSD flashbacks to where the red fern grows. Oh, really? Yeah, he's a sweet fella. Look at that boy. He's a good boy. He's getting so big, dude. He is not even 4 months old yet. Yeah, he's like 3.5 months old. He's already approaching 40 pounds. Figure that one out. Dude's going to be huge. He's going to be massive. But like I was telling you, he is a good boy. But I'm having my deck torn down right now because it was falling apart. And I think what happened was that the builder of the house built the deck, covered in like the weatherproof paint or whatever, and called it good, or stain, I guess. And at some point in the last 20 years, previous owner like pressure washed it or sanded it off, and then put, I kid you not, like interior latex paint on it. And if you don't know anything about like paint, you can't do that. Like paint that's for indoors cannot be used outdoors. They do not work. And so they like ordered these big 5-gallon buckets of interior paint to like, cause the guy, one guy that owned these houses, he owned like 30 or 40 of the houses in this neighborhood. And then he just sold them off slowly over like a decade. And so he would have a handyman that he would go and send out to do repairs on his properties. And so he'd be like, oh, we got 5 vacancies. Go repaint the entire house. So they just buy buckets, huge buckets of this paint. And I think they were just like, just use that on the deck. So they went to the trouble of sanding off the deck, which removed the like weatherproofing stain from it. And then they painted it in this latex paint, which peels and bubbles and it's ruined it. And then the water seeped in and rotted out the wood. So the whole deck, like you literally can sway side to side and the whole thing like starts to wiggle. Mad sketchy. So I'm having these guys tear it down and we're going to rebuild it. But I can't leave Romeo out and about. Like he's going to break out of the gate. And if you don't know anything about coonhounds, if they get a scent of something, they sprint for it. Like if he gets a scent of a rabbit or something, he cannot control himself. It is I was going to say primal urge. That doesn't make any sense. It is a canine urge to just go after it. It's deep in his blood, right? So he has to be contained. So I went to Home Depot and I got stakes and I got some like cage wire stuff. And I made a little dog run on the side of the house for him to stay at. It was like, you just stay on the side of the house while they tear down the deck, and then I can close the gate again. You can run around, do whatever. And then tomorrow when they come and they pour the concrete, I'll, put you in your dog run again, and that's how we'll do it. This dog dude, he has managed to like go full Spider-Man. He like jumped up on the side of the fence and then like did like a boop boop parkour thing over this like 6 foot of cage wire stuff. I was like, what in the hell? I was shocked. I watched back the camera and I was like, he's like spider dog. Like, what is it? This is not like a boxer dog. Like, this is not a dog like a greyhound that's known for jumping. He's just a little demon. He's a little monster. So I went and I like staple up the cage. I curl it forward so he can't just jump over it. And then like I have 2 layers of the caging overlapped and then zip tied together. And then this dog, I'm like, okay, sounds good. And I go back inside and then I turn around and he's sitting right by the little glass door looking at me. It's like, how did you get out again? And I look back and he has like jumped in and he squeezed through the like a gap between the cage wire that I had zip tied. He like squeezed himself through it. I don't know anymore. I don't know what to do. So he's just resourceful, but it means when I go and I have the actual dog run built, I'm going to have to basically just build a full size fence and do it that way. Cause he's just too smart. And again, like he's still a puppy and he's already like a pretty good size. He's going to get big. He's going to get huge. And then I'm going to be really screwed, Dog says, am I a joke to you, Dad? Yeah, literally. I really want to be able to bring him down here to like hang out. And he's doing way better. He's just a puppy. Like he has no control. He just gets zoomies and then he sprints around. And so we'll get him to the point eventually where he can come down and hang out with us. He's just not quite there yet. Got to train hard. Yeah, he's almost at the age where we can start going hard at the training. The big thing is their brains. You have to wait for their brains to develop enough to be able to connect like behavior to reward or punishment. So like when we met with a couple trainers now, but we met with one trainer and he was like, if you try to train him now, like you're just going to traumatize him by like, withholding what he sees as like a reward, which is really just a treat, but he's just going to think that he's doing something wrong and he's going to get sad and it's just not going to do anything. He's going to forget everything you taught him. Just like, it's like trying to potty train a 2-month-old baby. Like it just doesn't work. So he's like, wait till they're like 4 to 6 months and then we can start doing it because their brains can connect. Ooh, I sat and I got a treat. I should do that if I want a reward, You just have to get there. And so he's almost there. He's getting there. Yeah, he's getting there. Cage. Yeah, well, I mean, a kennel or cage would be good. The problem is he is, we do have his kennel he sleeps in at night. He puts himself to bed, funnily enough, at like 8:30 on the nose. He climbs into his little kennel and he's like or cage, whatever you could call it. And he's like, okay, bedtime. And then he'll bark at us until we turn off the lights in the room because he wants to go to sleep. He's very funny. He's like an old man. But we don't have, like, we have this little cage we borrowed from my in-laws when he was a puppy to take him in the car. He's outgrown the damn thing. Like, he doesn't fit in it. He's just getting so big so quick. So I've got to go get like a massive cage for him just to have a spot for him to be safe. But he's just getting so freaking big so quick, dude. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. My uncle trained his cats to, or I guess cat, to use the human toilet. I know you're thinking that's made up. No, it's a thing. You can actually train your cat to go to the bathroom on an actual toilet, and then you can train them to like flush it. And he did it. He actually got it working. It was crazy. I didn't believe him. And then like I watched the cat go in, heard the little plop, and then I heard the toilet flush. I was like, what the? I was shocked. It's like, you can't just do that. What? But no, that's how it happened. Yeah. You can apparently do it. I don't know how. I guess I could look it up, but yeah, you can apparently do it. My wife trained her cat to do the same 12 years later. It's the bane of my existence. Oh, because the cat hogs the toilet. We'll see, Jamie. That's just resourceful. That's just smart. My cats can sit, paw, high fives, and speak. Oh, that's awesome. Cats are smart, but the thing with cats is that they're too smart. Cats are so smart that they know what you're trying to do. So if they don't want to be trained, they're just like, screw you. You know, I've told you guys the story. Hermione, she like is the little black cat that I have. She's just this cute little tortoiseshell, kind of black and brown cat. She's super sweet, very, very lovey. But she's also a huntress. She was born on a farm actually, and we kind of rescued her from the farm. But she will go out, and she will hunt mice. Like in our last house, we had a mouse problem because we lived right next to a massive field where they grew like corn and stuff. And so field mice were a big problem. And she would go out, catch one, and she would specifically bring it inside and wait outside of our bedroom door, just sitting, looking up at us. And I'd open the door in the morning, and then she would spit out the mouse, which is still sort of alive, and be like, look what I caught you, father. And then she'd lean down, bite it, killing it, and then look back up at me with like blood dripping from her little fangs. And, the mouse is like freaking out. I'm just standing there like, what just happened? And then she's like, there you go. Enjoy. And then she walks away because she's like, you're clearly too stupid to get your own food. So I got you this one. You're welcome. And then she leaves. It was pretty adorable. It was like, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. She's very, she's a provider. She's a provider, Yeah, metal AF. Cats are the best. They're freaking smart. Romeo is like the most puppy of all puppies. Like he's just like, okay, you'll be my best friend. I love you so much. He's just puppy. And then Hermione is just not. Hermione's a provider, but she is a sassafras. I'll tell you what. Okay. Speaking of sassafras, should we talk about Jake Baldino? I don't know if he's sassy. It just seems like maybe he's sassy. I don't know. I've met Jake. He's a really nice guy. Always, every time I've ever seen him, he's wearing a different pair of like, I don't know, shoes. I'm not a sneakerhead or whatever they call themselves, but he has like a different pair of nice sneakers every time. And it always matches his outfit. Or if it's at an event, it'll match the event that he's going to. So like if he's going to an Xbox event, he'll wear green sneakers and stuff. It's kind of hardcore. I respect it, frankly. It's pretty cool. Skill Up. I think Skill Up was at our Pragmata preview, actually. I think. In person, he doesn't look the same as he does on camera. He's like 8 feet tall, and I don't know. Every time I'm like, is that him? I can't really tell. Some people look the same on camera, and then some people don't look the same in person as on camera. He's one of those people where I'm always like, maybe? Can't tell. It's not a bad thing. It's just, maybe it's a me problem. I can't tell the difference. All white people look the same. I can't, like, oh, I can't tell the difference between me and Jake and Skill. I have no idea. How tall is he? No, okay, he's not actually 8 feet tall. He's actually, he's probably like 6'4" or something, 6'5". He's a big dude. He's big. Same with like Todd, and like I say Todd's a little guy because he is a little fella, and like Phil is a little guy. Sarah, unironically, I think Sarah Bond is like 5'2" She's actually very small. Phil is probably like 5'6" or something, same as Todd, but yeah, I'll exaggerate sometimes. I am not actually claiming that Skill Up is 8 feet tall, to be perfectly clear. I just want to be very clear. Okay. Let's talk about this. New sort of segment. I still haven't figured out how to get the sound bites working, so apologies. That was not it. Whatever that was. I don't know what that was. Okay, well, instead of that, here you go.
Look here! Look, listen!
New segment. Look here, look, listen. New segment. Here we go.
Beta!
No beta. Today we're talking about games in development. Let's do it. Beta. Here we go. Multiple Fallout projects are in development, it's claimed. Interesting. What was this claim? Well, on an episode of the Friends Per Second podcast, which is the podcast that Skill Up and Jake Baldino do together. You've seen it probably labeled as like FPS podcast or whatever. But on that episode, they had a guest, VGC's or Video Game Chronicles, Jordan Midler. And there was one specific claim made during this podcast, and I'll just let it play out. This little snippet that we can talk about.
Fallout is the big one. I cannot believe that they didn't immediately start work on a Fallout 5 because Todd's not going to make it. Todd's not going to make it.
Todd's going to die, confirmed. No, I think this is just because he's getting old, frankly. Like, Todd is what, in his 50s? And by the time Fallout 5 comes out, unironically, I think Fallout 5 is looking like Fallout, or is looking like 2034, 2035. Like, he's going to be well into retirement age, like well into retirement age. Oh, Candle, you're right. He's going to be up there. And the thing is, like, yes, you're getting to make games for a living. You're getting to live the dream. And that's wonderful. But like at some point, if you have millions of dollars and you can retire at 60, 65, that's going to be an awful tempting offer. Like, I know what they say, you'll do what you love. You never work a day in your life, which is absolutely true. But like, I'm going to be real with you guys. I love doing this. I love streaming, talking about video games and all that. But if I had $12 million, $15 million, I'm not sure exactly how much Todd has, but if he's taking care of his money, he should have a good amount. If I had millions upon millions of dollars, and I reached 60 years old, 65 years old, I'd be hard pressed not to go live on a yacht. Like, not a big yacht, a tasteful yacht, but a yacht, like, it'd be hard to justify going into the office if you had FU money and you had that as an option, And I think Todd
Jimbo 404 donated $10 through Super Chat. Bro, I am going to be out by 60.
Yeah. Well, if you are fortunate enough to be in the position where you can do that, it's hard to argue against it. Like, it's like you save and you work your whole life to get money to be able to do that. It's really tough to justify continuing to stay at the office. Not to mention just the reality of working at a place like a tech company. Which video game companies kind of are, but certainly at Microsoft, there is an element of ageism that goes on where the older crowd is often pushed out because they're seen as kind of being antiquated, and you need fresh ideas. You need the younger generation. So I think at some point he will get pushed out. Anyway, this is not the point of the segment, to be perfectly clear, but yeah, he's getting up there, and that is an element to consider. He's going to have to retire at some point, and it's probably not going to be like, he could probably push for Fallout 5, but he's going to be an older dude by that time.
He's not going to make the game. He will make it to that point of life, hopefully, at the time of recording. But when he's done with the next Elder Scrolls, I can fully see him being like, okay, I'm done. I'm an older guy now. They should. Yeah. There are multiple Fallout projects in development.
What? Interesting. So he's claiming he thinks Todd retires after the Elder Scrolls 6. I don't think so, man. Maybe, but I really, really doubt it. How old is Todd? Hold on. How old is Todd Howard? 54. The estimation is that they probably get Elder Scrolls out like 2028. And then there's another like 6-ish years probably for Fallout 5. And, maybe 5, but 5 to 6 maybe. And so that puts us at like 2032 or 2033-ish, give or take a year. By that point, he's in his 60s, early to mid 60s. I think he could get there. I think 2025, or I think rather Fallout 5, I think he sees that through. I think that's his retirement project. I don't think Elder Scrolls 6 is. I'd be very surprised if Todd announced he's retiring after that. I would find that very surprising, but who knows? Maybe. Anyway, what's this about multiple Fallout projects happening in the works? What?
He's done with the next Elder Scrolls. I can fully see him being like, okay, I'm done. I'm an older guy now. They should. Yeah. There are multiple Fallout projects in development, including, as far as I'm aware, that one you're all wanting. But it's not far enough along to say anything that is like, you're going to be playing this game anytime soon. Fallout 5 should have been day one. Okay, we own these motherfuckers now. Let's get a game that says Fallout 5 on it out on the shelves.
I agree, Jake. I agree. The smolder. I think the fumbling of the Fallout IP this generation, I guess, has been cataclysmic. I mean, the fact that they had the Fallout show and they didn't have anything other than like a little update with some Halloween decorations for Fallout 76. That was literally all they had, with an Amazon show that was really, really well received. That's amazing. That is a huge blunder. And I agree with Jake's face that all of us, when we saw that they had nothing, just went, it was good timing. That was good.
Ray Scarlett She donated $3. Damn. The dogs aren't the only ones big. Look at those big arms. You've been working out, dude.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Thank you, my friend. Much love. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, I just think like the way that they've blown this has been amazing to see. It really makes you wonder, like, did they really not realize how big Fallout is and how well the show is going to do? Like, it's really surprising. Like, it's just a huge fumbling, in my opinion, at least. But I also think it's important to remember, like, you watch this little segment and you would get the impression that like Elder Scrolls is not that big of a deal. No, Elder Scrolls is huge. We all remember how well the Oblivion remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, did. It did very well. Like, to say the least. It was hugely successful, and that was a remaster of a very, very old game. Just you wait until the hype train starts for Elder Scrolls 6. It will be crazy. Maybe not like to the level of GTA 6 or anything, but the last game in the franchise was Skyrim, which was like one of the biggest games in the history of games. It was generation defining. It was almost industry defining for a long time. It broke into the mainstream. Everybody talked about it. And, it's been long enough, people maybe have forgotten, but it was huge. Dare I say huge. It was massive. And I think Elder Scrolls 6 will be as well. We saw with Starfield, even with a pretty lame game, the hype train for Bethesda Game Studios titles gets crazy. it gets chugga-chugga-chewing down the track, and everybody hops on board, and they're like, we're going to crash, aren't we? This is not going to end well. I'm here for it, though. Everybody loves it. The only thing Bethesda fans like more than just a good game is the hype train on the way to the game, whether it's good or not. People love it. People absolutely love it. So I disagree with the notion, or at least the insinuation, that that Elder Scrolls should have been set to the side for the sake of Fallout 5. I think when Elder Scrolls 6 is like fully revealed again, not just a random teaser trailer in 2018, but when it's actually like revealed and they start showcasing it, I think a lot of people will be like, oh, this is why they focused on it. Because it's going to be huge. It's going to be big. So I don't think they necessarily needed to do that. But I think it's a reflection, at least in sentiment. It's a reflection of the broader problems within Bethesda Game Studios, which is that their dev times and dev cycles are so long that you probably do have to wait roughly 20 years between releases, which I know what you're thinking. Luke, what do you mean 20 years? I'm not joking. 2015 was Fallout 4. 2023 was Starfield. Probably 28 to 29 is Elder Scrolls 6. And it's very likely that Fallout 5 could end up in like 2034. There's a solid 19 years between those two. Yeah, we can say Fallout 76 is 18 if you want. Like, this is not an exaggeration that you often have to wait decades between major tentpole releases in these IP, which is crazy. It's crazy. They had this figured out back in the day with New Vegas doing like little spin-off projects. I think that's a solid way to do it. People understand that it's not a mainline entry. People get that. But if you don't do it, we all feel like skill up. You know? Frustrated. We feel frustrated. So I just think, you know, there's a broader frustration, not just, you know, with gamers, but I'm sure with Microsoft too, that they have to wait so damn long, you know? It's a major component. But let's see how he wraps it up, because he did say the key point, which is, you know, what we're going to touch on for the rest of this segment, which is that there's multiple Fallout projects in development.
Including, as far as Elder Scrolls, I can fully see him being like, okay, I'm done. I'm an older guy now. They should, there are multiple Fallout projects in development, including, as far as I'm aware, that one you're all wanting. But it's not far enough along to say anything that is like, you're going to be playing this game anytime soon. Fallout 5 should have been day one. Okay, we own these motherfuckers now. Let's get a game that says Fallout 5 on it out on the shelves. And they didn't bother.
Yeah.
Didn't bother makes it sound like, again, it was... maybe an oversight or like an oopsie, like, oh, we just forgot to do that. I don't think that's what it was. I think they just decided to put the eggs in the Elder Scrolls basket because that was already in pre-production. So they said, go for it. The fact they didn't have a remake or remaster or something ready for the Fallout show is crazy. And I think they definitely needed to get that. But, you know, that's a separate issue. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily just an oversight, but.
Yep. Well.
Anyway, New Vegas 2 coming soon.
You. Hey, are you drinking chiral tea?
Oh, I thought there no follow-ups to that. He just casually mentions there's multiple Fallout projects, and we're going to tea. Okay, well, okay. I would have thought that they'd double down on that, but whatever.
Alucard donated $10 through Super Chat. Can't wait for the Phil Spencer is blown away by ES6. Followed by the entire Bethesda studio was fired and ES6 is being canceled article.
If that happens, we will all be surprised. Can you imagine? Phil's just like, yeah, I played Elder Scrolls 6. It's the best Elder Scrolls ever. Today, we're very sad to announce the closure of Bethesda Game Studios. I wouldn't put it past them. They do weird stuff like that. You never know. Can you imagine, dude? That'd be insane. So, why double down on a rumor? Well, I mean, I'm not saying double down. I'm saying literally ask any follow-up question. I'm just surprised there was no... What can you, well, tell us what Fallout projects. And you said including the one everybody's thinking of. So I guess we shift gears into the speculation part of the video. This is why I need a tinfoil hat, dude. I've been talking about getting one. I need to like buy a fancy tinfoil hat that's like a top hat, but it's like actually pretty elaborate. I don't know, some of these are kind of lame. This is funny. I like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll get a tinfoil hat. We'll figure it out. That being said, let's put on our metaphorical tinfoil hats and talk about this, because he said there's multiple Fallout projects in the works, including the one everybody's thinking of. But the other thing is that he said they're not far enough along that you're going to play them anytime soon. The one that we know about is the Fallout 3 remake, which was mentioned in the same FTC documents and filings that revealed the Oblivion remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it. And so we know that this is coming, unless it's been canceled, which is possible because Xbox. We know that this is coming. This has been in the works. This is one of those projects. So we know Fallout 3, I would be very surprised if they canceled it, but we know that this is almost certainly one of those that's in the works. Other than that, there's been nothing else like really confirmed or anything. He says multiple projects. That could mean 2, could mean 3, could mean 15. It's vague, which is why a follow-up could have been nice. But he says multiple, including the one we're all hoping for, which would at least suggest Fallout New Vegas, because this is the one that's commonly discussed and desired and, you know, dreamt of. So if they are doing Fallout New Vegas as like a remake or a remaster, I think that this would be a money maker, just print money. But he's saying that they still are very far off. You're not going to play them anytime soon. Also, do you like my my background? Do you like that? I love this picture. I love it so much. So I like, it's possible. Sorry, I can't look at it too much or I laugh. It's possible that they're working on New Vegas and the Fallout 3 remake, and that those come out in the next handful of years. I think Fallout 3 remake, that is expected to come out sooner than the New Vegas one, which is much earlier on in development. But the New Vegas remake, remaster, whatever it is, if that is happening, is probably still like 4, 5, 6 years out if he's saying no time soon. Because anytime soon, I would think within the next few years. If he's pushing it back beyond that, that would suggest it's very early on and is very far off. And maybe it's one of those projects, like right now, one of the reasons I think they did the Oblivion remake is because they wanted to kind of reintroduce the IP to people before Elder Scrolls 6, which I think is a good idea. Because again, it's been over a decade. By the time Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, it will most likely have been like 15 years since Skyrim. Probably more than that. Probably like 16, 17 years since Skyrim came out. So you need some way of introducing it to a new generation. And because there will literally be a new generation of gamers that have never touched the IP before. So I think that that's part of the strategy with it. Maybe part of the strategy with like the New Vegas remake is to put that out in like the early 2030s. And that is going to be one of the games that like reintroduces Fallout games to people before Fallout 5 comes out. I'm not sure, but I mean, we're talking very long dev cycles. We're talking long-term plans here. I don't think that we're going to get like New Vegas remastered, you know, in 2026. Like, I don't think that's what we're getting. The soonest we probably see anything is, I would guess, next year. And it's probably going to be the Fallout 3 remake, remaster, whatever it is, which I think would be good. I think that would be really nice, but we'll see. I'm going to double check that there's no follow-up on the Fallout stuff, because I can't believe that they would just let him say that and then blast past it.
That looks like chiral T. It really does. I slam those cans every day, man.
Poetically, it is what Cairo T replaced. It is Monster, Rio,
Nice.
Just. That's really the only negative mark against Death Stranding is the product placement is much worse, but we'll get to that. No, this is a Brazilian flavored Monster. My
Brazilian flavored.
Yeah.
Just like I want. What do you reckon a Brazilian flavored Monster tastes like? What do you
That
reckon?
says a lot.
How do you do that? I want like an English flavored Monster. What's that going to be?
Tastes like tea in a
Like a
second.
shepherd's pie.
And the blurb says,
Okay, I guess they literally are not going to ask him any follow-up. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm surprised by that. You have a guy that works at VGC, is my understanding. And he's going to throw that out and we're just not going to follow. Okay. Whatever. Anyway, I think again, it's likely that I think it's likely they do have multiple projects because it just makes too much sense. Like, there's no way they are sitting on Fallout doing nothing with it for a decade. They've got to be doing something. We know the Fallout 3 remake remaster is coming at some point. It was, I believe, originally expected to come out before the Oblivion one. So where that is, who knows? But maybe season 2 of the show, they shadow drop it like late this year. Maybe that could happen. It's not impossible. So maybe we get it there, but the New Vegas, any other Fallout projects, I think are years and years and years and years away. I would not get my hopes up. Like, I think they are almost certainly next gen consoles. I don't think we see them this gen. I just don't foresee it, you know. Multiple projects coming in this beloved IP. Anyway, today I'm drinking. Like, it's just really weird. I'd be like, no, you can't just say that and move on. No, go back. We're talking about it. Give me more info. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Real serious. Also, I did not forget about your super chat. Thank you for that. I'm going to read it here in a second. Thank you.
Brendan Lucas donated £10 through Super Chat.
Thank you, my friend.
If they are really nice, they could package FO 3, FNV together. Same engine, same assets. Code difference is so slight that both could be modded into one another.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, I would love that. It reminds me of the Black Flag and AC Rogue bundle. Do you remember that? Oh my God, what is happening? Yeah, the Rebel collection. They released it for the Switch. Loading. Come on. It's trying desperately to load. Okay. Switchplayer.net. The website's not doing hot. Let me try just Googling for it instead. Yeah, just search on Google. For the love of God, what are we doing? Why is this so difficult? Come on. Yeah, this. So they did this back in the day, 2019, where they put Black Flag and Rogue together because they were pretty similar. They used the same engine, same everything, basically, same assets. And they bundled it together. These weren't remakes or anything. They were ports, but they could do something similar for Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. It's not impossible. I would love to see that. Do I think they're going to do that? No. I think they like their money too much, but we'll see. Let's see. Other one was I don't know why I didn't read this one out. Yeah, it didn't read a bunch of these out. Hold on. I got to catch up on these, everybody. Thank you. Real serious thing for that one. I've seen some studies that disprove that psychopath CEO stereotype, but I can't find them now. Maybe we just don't want to confront that we're all more capable of being assholes than we think, banality of evil and all that. Maybe. I mean, if that's been debunked, I would love to see that. So if you find it, share it in the Discord or something, because I would love to see that. I think it's one of those things that like kind of makes sense. It passes your gut check. So you're like, yeah, I could see that. Managers, sociopaths, sure. So maybe you don't think about it too critically. I could see that being a component of it too. But yeah, if you find the like debunking of it, please let me know. Jimbo, bro, I'm going to be out by 60. Yes, for retirement. Dude, that's the dream. That's the dream. I am saving and investing ferociously right now. I'll tell you what. I was talking when I was in LA. I was talking to another content creator who will remain nameless, who just spent, I don't think he's made this public, which is why I'm not going to like say who he is, but he just spent over $100,000 on a sports car. And he was like, yeah, what do you drive? I told him, like, we have a pretty basic SUV for the family because we can fit car seats in it. And I'm giving like the most boring answer possible. You know, like he's like, yeah, I've got this and it's got the whatever turbo nitrous GT, whatever. I have no idea. I don't know cars. He's describing it. I'm like, that sounds great. Yeah, I don't, I don't have that. He's like, what do you mean? You can afford it? I'm like, yeah, I guess like I could, but I'd much rather like throw money into stocks and invest. Like right now, you know how everybody sets like a goal for themselves. Like this year, I want to buy my, I don't know, Hellcat. This year, I want to hit this goal or want to get this or that. My goal is by 30, I want to own an apartment complex. Over 4 units. Is that weird? Is that a weird thing to want? That's like one of my goals. Because like you get that, you can 1031 exchange it into all sorts of different buildings. I think you're set. Evil landlord Luke. Oh no, I'd be a nice landlord. That'd be nice. I've worked with the evil landlords. I've told you guys some of the stories of the slum lords that I had to work with when I sold these buildings. That would not be me. I've seen how the sausage is made, and I've seen the sausage I don't want to make. Okay, so I would not be a nasty, evil landlord. I've seen those guys. And the funny thing is, the most like evil scumbag landlords, they do not make much money. Okay? Like they screw themselves. There was one guy who so regularly destroyed his buildings because he didn't care for them, didn't take care of them, that we would be like trying to sell one of his buildings and we'd have people pick up the phone and say, oh yeah, is this owned by so-and-so? Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, I'm not interested. Well, what price would you be interested in it? No price. I don't want to deal with that. They hang up. Like they don't actually end up that ahead. In some markets, maybe. Like you buy in Pueblo, it's whatever. But yeah, I just don't foresee that being a thing. But anyway, yeah, get into the mentality of like saving, investing instead of buying gadgets and stuff. Like if you're going to buy a gadget, if you're going to buy something cool, like buy something that retains value at the very least. Get a fun thing that holds value. In other words, not a car. Cars do not. Okay? Don't do that. No cars, no NFTs. Just call it good. Be safe, you know? Pinball, it'll hold value like crazy. Dude, that and I saw just the other day, one of those old arcade 1-up machines, like those freestanding arcade things. And people were, they bought them like 5 years ago and now they're worth like thousands. Like who would have thought that those little things would be like worthy of investment? But it's crazy. Banisher's good. Banishers is pretty good. Banishers is like one of those C+, B- games. It's a smaller budget, but it's got some unique ideas. It's a good time. I saw it's on PlayStation Plus for, I think, is it July or is it for August? I think it's July. I'd check it out. It's a good time. Yeah. My parents bought me a good car or a new car. Congrats. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah, that's why I said it. Yeah. Well, I figured. Yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game. It's worth checking out for sure. Let me.
Brendan Lucas donated £10 through Super Chat. The firing hundreds of people is not a psychopathic thing. It's a Microsoft thing. It's a short-termist thing that's been there since Bill Gates left. Short-term big investment equals massive layoffs.
It's not just a Microsoft thing. It's more of just a big corpo thing. It's a very common thing that happens. It also happened when Bill Gates was there, but there's different stages and life cycles in companies. So when you're in high growth, you tend to spend money pretty recklessly and you just grow. So for example, I know a guy right now who works in an up and coming, I won't say the name of it, but if you follow like tech stocks, you know what this company is. But they are currently in like the growth phase. So, you know, they're founded here. They get some venture capital. They start going, and this is like firm value, if you think of it that way. And then eventually they hit a growth period where it just skyrockets because they get all this investment. Maybe they have like, maybe the best way to do is initial spike. And then, you know, this is the initial offering to private equity. And then they go IPO, go into the stock market, and they explode. How it typically works is in this period, like everything is about growth. They have a ton of money coming in from outside investors, and they tend to be kind of reckless. The guy I know that works in one of these companies, they are like right here, okay? They're headed towards IPO. They're not there yet. And what he's told me is like, oh, dude, we have engineers. We have like HR people. They literally do nothing all day. A lot of them don't even come into the office. They just stick around. They get their paycheck. They go play golf all day. Like nobody's checking up on them. There's no oversight. Tons of bloat, right? Because there's just all this money coming in from outside investors, hoping to get in here. So when the company is pushed out at the IPO, they get a massive payday, right? So what happens is the company kind of bloats up and gets big, and then the IPO hits, and then it's in this phase that you start to see restructurings and they start to try to trim the fat and try to optimize margins and stuff like that. And so it depends on the life cycle. Like for Microsoft, when they were building, and Apple, when they're building, you know, they're not going to be in the position where they're trying to reorganize and restructure and all that. But in this case, you know, they've been in that position for decades. For Microsoft specifically, though, they are approaching, rightly or wrongly, this moment in time. They're approaching it the same way they did as the .com bubble. So right around the turn of the century, when, you know, the internet's really kicking off and getting big. There's a lot of startup companies around that. They're treating AI the same way they treated the .com bubble, which is why a lot of people think there's an AI bubble that's going to pop eventually. And as a result, they're just throwing money at it. Like literally just tossing $80 billion a year at AI, hoping that just magically makes the numbers go up. And maybe it does. Maybe it is a good investment. Maybe it's a huge blunder. We're going to find out. We're going to find out eventually. But yeah, the layoffs and everything, unfortunately, is just kind of par for the course nowadays. It's a very common thing. Very common thing. Let's see. I read that one. From Brendan. Thank you again for that one. Gaming Station, thank you for the super chat. Are you playing Death Stranding? I'm assuming 2. Can we expect a review to BH? I hated the first one, and I think the second one is a masterpiece. Expedition 33 is not winning best music this year. So I guess to go in order. Yes, I'm playing Death Stranding 2. I'm kind of going through it steady at my own pace. I'm enjoying it. I still have not hit a moment where I'm like, wow, and maybe that's going to trigger people. I like it. It's the best version of Death Stranding there is, for sure. It fixes a lot of the problems I had with the first game, but I've yet to hit a wow moment. And if there is a wow moment late in the game, don't tell me. Let me be surprised. But as of where I'm at right now, which I don't know, halfway through, I'm not sure. I haven't found that wow moment yet. I hope to find it. I hope it's there. But as of right now, I'm just like, yeah, this is really good Death Stranding. But there's not a like amazing surprise moment. Bro hasn't left Mexico. Can you imagine if I'm like, I'm about halfway through. It's been about, 50 hours in Mexico. Can you imagine? No, I found the fun. Like I said, I'm enjoying it. But I feel like, KCD 2, I played that. There were multiple moments where I was like, I cannot believe this game exists. This is insane. Expedition 33, the entire game was kind of like that for me. And with Death Stranding 2 so far, I feel like it's just like Death Stranding 1.5. It's taken the first game and it's fixed almost all of the problems I had with it and just refined it and polished it up, which is great. But I haven't really found like the really unique ideas that cause it to just like explode and wow me. I see multiple people saying there is a wow moment, or at least there's a point where there's wow. I just have to get there. So I'll keep going. It would be awkward if I've already passed it and I didn't find it wow. If you're talking about the part with the fireworks with like all the sparklers and stuff, if that's our standard, I don't think I'll find the wow. Because I remember all those clips went out. People were like, wow, Kojima's made the most visually impressive game ever. I was like, dude, it's literally just sparklers. Is that really our standard? Like, ooh, shiny. I was like, there's a lot more to graphics and like art presentation and things than sparklers. It's like, really? Is this the standard? Is this what we're doing? It looks phenomenal, but the clips they were using were the sparkler sequence, and I was like, why? What? No, it was just dumb, dude. It was dumb. Okay. We've got 30 minutes till Jor joins us. So we got to do it. We got to do it. Let's see. Trying to figure out what I want to talk about. Jinx, thank you for the 5. These corporations don't realize how stigmatized AI is becoming and how negatively people are reacting to having it constantly shoved in their faces. Yeah, I think people are getting burned out by it. It's also just at this point, it's being used so frivolously and casually that it doesn't really mean anything directly. Like sometimes when you say AI, you might mean like ChatGPT. You might mean AI generated videos. You might mean AI generated
Brendan
pictures.
Lucas donated
like,
10 pounds
vague.
through Super Chat. You mention an AI bubble, but what about the Fallout bubble? Fallout Season 1 was good and launched like 10 projects. But what if Season 2 is bad? The showrunner of the show wrote Captain Marvel.
Uh-oh. That's fair. I don't know if that would count as a bubble, but I get what you mean. Like they put all these pots on the stove and then they screw it up and it flops. My perspective is a remake or a remaster of a Fallout project that people already loved. It'd be hard to screw that up. Pretty hard. Not impossible, but hard. Like just because the Witcher Netflix show took a nosedive and is now basically just a weekly hour of hot, steamy donkey ass, that does not mean, therefore, that like it does not therefore mean that like The Witcher 4 is going to be bad. I think there can be a good amount of crap and then some good stuff too. Poopy Stain super chatted $2. What's up? Glad to have you, my friend. Jimothy with a 5. Just got a 77-inch OLED and feels like I need to replay so many games. It's such a different experience visually. Feels like playing for the first time. Dude, once you go OLED, it's real hard to go back. I'm going to be real with you because it's fire. It's fire. But yeah, going back to Gaming Station, can we expect a review? I don't know if probably not like a sorted review. I'm sure I'll talk about it on stream once I finish it. But probably not like a big sorted review. As for like a critique and stuff, I don't know if there's enough to make one of my standard like big critique videos on. And I mean, I'm gonna just be honest. The hardcore Death Stranding fandom is like so integral to so integrated with the Kojima fandom. I don't know if I want to mess with that beehive more than I have to. Like, You say literally anything. You could say Death Stranding 2 is a masterpiece. And like, well, actually, it's not a masterpiece. It's actually a stunning, brave example of genius. And it's like, you cannot say anything. Like, you can't say anything. And it just makes it miserable to talk about the game, you know? It's just, it can be very frustrating. Like, I think it was one of our stream clips where I literally said, I really like Death Stranding 1. I like playing it as a rainy day game. I find it really relaxing. And it was just that snippet. And somebody said, the game isn't supposed to be relaxing, and you finding it relaxing shows you don't understand the game. I was like, like, you literally cannot have an opinion. It's like, well, actually, it's like, that's the entire thing. It was crazy. It's like, I said, I find it relaxing. Like, you're not allowed to. I was like, okay, well, then I don't know what we're doing here. And I know that's like one dude. That's like a very, very small portion of the broader fandom. But at some point, I'm just like, I'd rather talk about other games where like we don't have to have a crushing migraine the whole time we're talking about it. You know, I just, time's limited. Let's see. Joaquin, thank you for the 29 months. Gee whiz. Thank you. Let's see. Brendan. Oh, I read that one about the AI bubble. Yeah. Yeah. That thing's crazy. Martin, thank you for the sub with Prime. Merman. The Merman. Thank you for the sub. Also, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I think that there probably is an AI bubble that's going to pop, just personally. That's my guesstimation. I heard, I can't remember his name. He's one of the Shark Tank guys. Not Mr. Wonderful. He's like I'm talking about the nice guy that's always smiling. Can't remember his name. Robert, I think. He broke it down really well. He was like, there's kind of 3 phases to the AI stuff that's going to hit. There's like, you know, the consumer facing side. And the consumer facing side is like all the big stuff you know about, like ChatGPT, the Google Bard, you know, Gemini, it's that stuff. It's like the consumer facing stuff that's really flashy. Apple Intelligence, all of that is in here. The second phase is going to be like more on the dev side. So it's tools allegedly like Copilot, and like Palantir. Is it ENTIR? I'm not Palantir. I think it's Palantir. Anyway, Palantir. It's like that stuff that's more institutional. That's bigger budget. And then there's going to be like the industrial side and like the infrastructure side, I think is how he phrased it. Infrastructure. Ran out of room. And so like right now we're about right here. The second phase tools are in the works, but they're not very good yet. And the infrastructure tools are in their infancy. The infrastructure tools will be the things that like scrub all of your emails and make it so you can tell your AI like on your phone, hey, find me or make me a reservation at that restaurant we went to. I think it was a Friday and I went with this person and we scheduled it. I think that it was an Italian restaurant. And then you let it do it. And it searches through your emails, searches through your text messages. It finds all that info, puts it together, and it does it. Basically like what Siri was trying to be 15 years ago. Things like that. And then also other things more broadly, like on the industrial side, things that are like AI tools streamlining deliveries, streamlining warehouses and distribution and shipments and all of that stuff. That stuff is going to come down the slope. But we're still a ways off, you know. I think, you know, when AI has made it is when AI will become very boring and people will just be used to it. You know? Reservation made at McDonald's. This was funny also. Jeff Bezos sold more Amazon shares. He communicated he was going to do this like 2 years ago. He had to declare it. It's ANTIR. Okay. Palantir. Yeah, Bezos mentioned that he was going to sell, it's like 25 million shares or something. He's liquidating a lot, but got to pay for that yacht somehow. But he sold stock that is worth roughly $665 million. Okay. Chuck came out swinging. Okay. That's just $1 short of 666 million. I hate to be that guy. No. It is $100,000 short, but close. He is planning something demonic. In times like these, we must remain united in our trust of President Trump. He's the only one fighting against the devil-worshipping deep state actors. This is a real person. Yeah, Jeff Bezos sold 665 million, which is close to this scary number. Therefore, it's demonic. It makes perfect sense. Dude, it's just so crazy. It's just so crazy, dude. Unbelievable. Future of our country right there, baby. Right there. Right there. What is this? Doesn't realize it yet, but in 5 minutes, his manager will assign him an intern that will call every 2 minutes to ask how to do the job until his day will be ruined. Dude, I've never had an intern. When I worked in real estate, they asked us if we'd be interested in getting an intern. And I was like, well, so how would that work? They're like, oh, they'd be unpaid. They basically just come work in your office for like 8 hours a day for the summer. I was like, that's legal? What? The internships in college that like I was aware of and that like we did in business school, they were like paid. You get an hourly wage, but like those types of internships feel so bad. Feels not good, And then they're like, yeah, we're not going to hire you unless you have experience, unless you've been an intern. It's really toxic. Let's talk about this real quick, and then we got Jor. Well, then I'll hop off the stream for a minute. I'll take Doggy up to go potty and stretch his legs and stuff, and then we'll be good. But let's see. Halo Studios was hit by Microsoft and Xbox layoffs too, and Dev says nobody, quote, is really happy about the quality of the next game. Great. This, comes after the news from last week where they let Microsoft let go of 9,000 people. A good chunk of people at Microsoft's subsidiary Xbox also lost their jobs as part of this. But this news comes from an Engadget report, as you can see here. Even before the layoffs, there was tension. Quote, I'm personally super pissed, a developer told Engadget. At least 5 employees at Halo Studios have been fired as part of a company-wide layoffs at Microsoft on Wednesday, according to the developer with knowledge of the situation. An estimated 200 to 300 people remain at the studio. Dude, imagine how much it would suck to be like in a team of 300 people and then you're one of the 5 people. Like you're one of 5 people that were just selected out of the ether to be sacrificed at the altar of Satya Nadella. It's crazy. Employees across Microsoft's Xbox division received an email from Phil Spencer Wednesday morning addressing organizational shifts, which just means we're firing a lot of you, hitting the team over the coming days. Halo Studio employees were laid off, received an additional invite to a meeting with the organization leaders, and 2 very long hours later, the team's call began. Amid discussions, what's funny, it's 2 hours later, the Zoom call or the Teams call began. If it was a Zoom call, it would have been immediate. The Teams call was just so buggy and broken, they couldn't get into the call. Amid discussions of severance packages, the reasons provided for the firings aligned with Spencer's memo to, quote, increase agility and effectiveness. Just corporate jargon for we just need to fire people because we got to free up some money. This is pretty normal. I'm personally super pissed that Phil's email to us bragged about how this was the most profitable year ever for Xbox in the same breath as pulling the lever on the layoffs, the developer told Engadget. I wasn't sure what part of that was supposed to be proud about. Yeah, it's the difference between somebody that sits in like the corporate office versus the developers that are getting fired. The corporate office is like, yeah, best year ever. Let's trim the fat more and make it an even better year so we get our bonuses. And then people getting fired obviously are not privy to that. This is why I love The Office for many reasons, The American Office. But The American Office had some great episodes where like they explored this same mentality where it was like, you know, you would see a manager prompted, hey, if you fire these people, if you cut the budget by this amount, you can get a bonus. They won't get anything, but you'll get a bonus. And so then the manager is incentivized to go and be cutthroat and kind of screw over the employee so that they can benefit more directly from the downsizing. It's a fantastic show for many, many reasons. You should watch it if you somehow have not watched it in the last 20 years. So they continue on. They're working on multiple games, of course, including the next mainline Halo installment. And it's the steward of Halo Infinite, which is quietly spinning down its content cadence. It had a content cadence? I didn't even know that. That's news to me. The mood at the studio is tense, especially when it comes to one project that was recently in crisis, according to the developer. Quote, I don't think anybody is really happy about the quality of the product right now. I mean, it's not great when the team making a product says no one here is happy with it. Give us money, please. Like, I'm sold. I'll tell you what. There's been a lot of tension and pep talks trying to rally folks to ship. The studio recently teased that it would reveal what it's been working on at this year's Halo World Championship in October. Halo Studios was rocked by layoffs in 2023, back when it was still called 343, and that culling mostly affected people on the campaign and narrative teams, including Halo veteran Joe Staten. This is also the reason Halo Infinite hasn't had a continuing storyline since that time period. Today, Halo Studios employs a blend of full-time employees and contractors, with junior producers and quality assurance roles generally contracted out. And this is crucial to understand. The way Microsoft works as a corporation is that they use a lot of contracted work. My dad, as I've told you guys a bajillion times, has worked with Microsoft in varying capacities for decades. But one of the ways he works is through contracted work. So he works at a separate company and Microsoft hires them to come in and help finish this project that they're working on. It's kind of like, you know, I told you guys earlier in the stream, I'm having my deck rebuilt. So I went to a company that finished my basement as well, but they also go and they do finishes and finishing work on all sorts of different projects. So they will hire the team that goes, they supervise it, and they contract out the work as a general contractor through subcontractors. Very normal for like construction and things, but it's also how Microsoft works, is that they'll hire these outside teams and groups of people to do QA, to do the animation work, to do this or to do that. It's a very common thing. However, it can lead to problems because video game development doesn't tend to work the same as like working on Windows security updates or working on Windows 11 software that doesn't work. It's just not the same thing, but they're trying to treat it the same, and that's probably why they're running into some trouble. 343 Industries came under fire from fans for the launch state of Halo Infinite. Over the years, several ex-employees have spoken out about the studio's reliance on contractors who typically work on the company, with the company for a maximum of 18 months. And the thing is, after 18 months, they may be offered a job, a full-time job, or they may not be, and they may just be cast aside. The benefit for the corporation in doing it this way is that they don't have to pay benefits. They may pay more upfront initially, you know, for the person, compared to like a salaried position, but they don't have to pay benefits. They don't have to deal with problems with like unions. Gross. Can you imagine? They don't have to deal with any of that troublesome stuff that, you know, of course, Papa Microsoft doesn't want to deal with. So they just use contractors. And again, another problem with this is that you work on a project that takes 5 years to finish, but if a lot of people working on it only are working on it for 12 to 18 months, there's very little consistency. I mean, you have people that come into the project halfway through and don't know anything. Like they don't know where they started or what happened. They don't know. And again, to be very clear with the union point, because some people I'm not sure can read sarcasm, they don't like unions. They don't. I think unionizing is a great way to collectively bargain and negotiate contracts, quite demonstrably so. Microsoft does not like unions. they give that 2 thumbs down. You know, they try very hard to avoid allowing unions, which is why they like contractors, you know? It's the whole thing. The employee I spoke with said that since 2023, there's been a general shift towards working with contracted studios rather than individual contractors in the United States and Europe to speed up Halo production. This mirrors the way other major FPS franchises like Call of Duty and Battlefield are developed, which is true. If you remember Virtuos Studios. Virtuos. These guys have worked on like everything, not just the Oblivion remake, but they've worked on like Dune Awakening, Dark Souls Remastered. They worked on Judas, Outriders. They did art production work for Stellar Blade and League of Legends. Like, this is the stuff they've worked on. No doubt you've heard of some of this. Like, look at all the companies they've worked with. All of these companies, Naughty Dog, Konami, Avalanche, Take-Two, Ubisoft, Disney, Daybreak, Crystal Dynamics, Capcom, Bethesda, Arcane, Amazon, Quantic Dream. Like, they work with all these teams. They have thousands of developers. Thousands. But they're primarily a support studio. They do contracted stuff. So this is one of those companies. They have over 4,200 people, and they have 900 clients, and they've worked on over 1,500 titles. But you probably like don't know them off the top of your head until the Oblivion stuff. But it's because like they are the company that a company like Microsoft will hire to help them with stuff, so they don't have to, you know, have them employed and like deal with bigger teams and that type of thing. Let's see. Xbox, quote, Xbox in general feels years behind the curve in game development, and it leads to a lot of wasted time and effort, the employee said. At the same time, multiple departing team members have spoken warmly about their time at Halo Studios and the people they worked with. So, conflicted statements at the very least. Let's see. Layoffs at Microsoft on July 2nd affected 9,000 employees globally, including 830 in Washington, where Halo Studios is based. The Xbox division endured significant firings, game cancellations, and studio closures. Microsoft spokesperson said that the Xbox team did not absorb the majority of the layoffs, but given its relatively small size in the organization, that framing may not accurately reflect the impact. Which is another important point. It's relative to the rest of Microsoft. Microsoft or Xbox is not that massive of a priority for them, but you know that's why 500 people laid off at Xbox still feels massive compared to like 500 in the broader scheme of Microsoft. It's like a drop in the bucket. They have, I think, 220,000 employees globally. It's crazy. And they go on more. They're doing all this. Yeah, they're damnedest to replace as many jobs as they can with AI agents. This is, again, one of the other things. Satya is a firm believer that Copilot is going to streamline the whole company. So he's like, if we can trim fat, if we can find ways to lay people off and replace them with AI agents, awesome. Please do it. As you can see here, it's unclear how much AI has to do with the latest round of layoffs, but use of Copilot is quote unquote no longer optional. As you can see, Microsoft pushes staff to use internal AI tools more and consider this in reviews. So when you go and have your performance review, part of your performance review is how much you are using their AI tools in your workflow. They're considering formal metrics. They're also considering using the AI tools to do the employee reviews because it's unemotional. It just looks at the data and the stats. Does it sound dystopian yet? Copilot isn't even that good. Everyone knows. I agree. Everyone agrees, except for Microsoft. Like, no, I don't know a single person who's like, yep, let me check with Copilot real quick. They will rather open a separate tab and then go check like ChatGPT or something over Copilot. It's just not very good. It's just not very good. Let's see. Yeah, the layoffs, Everwild, some of the other layoffs that hit. CEO Satya Nadella said that as much as 30% of the company's code is now written by AI on some projects. Activision in February admitted to using AI in Black Ops 6. It's unclear how much AI has to do with the latest round of layoffs, but use of Copilot is no longer optional. Yeah, so they closed Arcane Austin, Alpha Dog Games, Tango Gameworks. which was later acquired by Krafton. Microsoft reported a net revenue of $25.8 billion for the first 3 months of 2025, with an 8% yearly increase in revenue from Xbox content and services. It's just, I mean, this is the way that they do it. And a lot of people go like, Microsoft's worth $3 trillion. How could they do this? It's like, bro, they're worth $3 trillion because they do this. The day they stopped laying off thousands of people casually on a Friday afternoon is the day that they stopped being worth $3.74 trillion. Like, this is just how it works. This is what they're doing. Doesn't mean we have to like it. We can be upset about it, absolutely. But they are this massive because they are the cutthroat of the cutthroats. They are the corporate sharks of the corporate sharks, you know? They should do it again then. Oh, they will. They are not stopping, to be very, very clear. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I think that the over-reliance on contracted labor is going to just continue to bite them in the butt. I don't think that that's a great way to... I don't think it's an effective way to, build high-quality games if you are sacrificing the core dev team in the process. Obviously, a lot of amazing studios use contracted work. We just saw an example of a team that works with many of them. But if you are laying off huge chunks, like literally decimating the core dev team, and you're like, we'll just fill it in with contracted work, I don't think that's a great way to build games. I don't think that's a great way to create a safe environment for developers to come and pour their hearts and souls into projects. I think that's a great way to harbor resentment and to get people to leave and go find places where they are valued and appreciated, you know? So we'll see. We'll see how it continues to develop. We won't see the ramifications of all of this until until probably 2027, 2028. It's going to take a few years, but yeah, fire everyone. Infinite money. Yeah, problem solved. Guys, I figured it out. But going back to this, just to tie this in, Jake, when you cut the clip, the specific project, we don't know if that's talking about the next mainline Halo game or if he's talking about it like a separate spin-off project that's also in the works. But either way, for a company like, Halo Studios to say that everybody there working on X product is not happy with it, that's not good. Even if it's a spin-off project, that's bad. So maybe he's talking about the next mainline Halo game, maybe, or maybe he's talking about a separate project. We just don't know. But either way, you'd hope that they'd just be happy with it and excited by it. But I guess time will tell. Time will tell. Speaking of time will tell, time is now telling me it's almost time for the podcast with Mr. Jor. So what we're going to do is I'm going to end this live event and we're going to create a new one and do the show with Mr. Jor. After I take Puppy Dog out to go potty and stuff like that. I think they'd finished with the deck, so I think he's good to go hang out in the backyard, but still. So, that being said, we're going to end this stream and pick up over there and rock and roll. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Real quick, Caleb, thank you.
Caleb donated $20 through Super Chat. Luke, it's me, Chat's mom from the future. I don't have much time.
Oh no.
Microsoft is worth $29 trillion, but they cut everyone and it's just Satya and Copilot has gone rogue.
Oh no.
Clippy was Copilot.
Oh no. Clippy was Copilot this entire time. We should have known. We flew too close to the sun. And now we suffer. You know what we do.
Live with the consequences.
That's what we have to do. Thank you for the 20, Caleb. Very, very generous. Thank you. Change this out. Downloads. Boop. It didn't save. Ba 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 ba. Okay. Okay. More, I'm trying to figure out what to call it. More Fallout games on the way. On the way. Entertainment, blah blah. I think that's fine. I think that's fine. I'll ask Jor if he wants to change it. Okay. So I'm going to end this now. I'm going to copy the link, post it into YouTube chat. So if you guys want to watch there, you can. If you are watching on Twitch, you can just stay put. It'll broadcast on the same place in that case as well. And yeah, we'll just be back in a few minutes with Mr. Jor, okay? It's going to be great. More Fallout games, OMG. I know. You'll have to wait for more Horizon, but more Fallout games allegedly are happening. Okay, I'll end this one. Go check on the doggy, and then we'll be back. We'll do the podcast. Okay, fam? Much love. I'll see you very, very soon. Mwah.